All right, folks, welcome into the AfterSchrock. This is your opportunity to ask any questions you might have that didn't get into the program or didn't quite fit in. It feels like that hour went by rocket fast. I literally feel like I just sat down and 15 minutes later, the show is over. So, wow, I guess I have a couple other stories we didn't really get to here. That was really cool to get a call from someone from PayPal talking about this the other day. So that was he was probably on the phone like, oh no, PayPal data breach. I can't get out of my car. I work at PayPal. Was there a data breach? Let's see. So we got we did cover the rogue Chinese malware. We got that one, or the rogue Chinese broadcast, which Chinese isn't a language. We talked about the Galaxy phone. Let's see. Cyber weapons are now in play. This is an interesting story, but it was something that I couldn't cram into, 2 minutes on the radio. Cyber weapons are now in play, from U.S. sabotage of a North Korean missile test. I didn't even know we did that with cyber attack, to a hacked emergency siren in Dallas. Cyber warfare has begun. Unlike nuclear weapons, cyber weapons can be proliferated quickly, and the threat from accidentally setting them off is even greater. Okay, so the story here says, at 11:42 p.m., Britt's eyes snapped open. She shot up in bed, wide awake, heart pounding, sirens screaming. Her neighbors hollered and scrambled around the courtyard of her modern Dallas apartment complex. The Midwest native is accustomed to hearing storm sirens. The Dallas sirens were different and louder. The blaring monotone was warning about radiation from every direction. In a tornado, the siren will shut off when the storm passes. These were much louder and blasted for a long time. I didn't even know we had radiation sirens. We had no idea what was going on. We knew it wasn't a tornado, though. There was a guy standing close to my window screaming, "We're at war! This stuff," he didn't say stuff, "is going down." For a flea, he might be right. A radio frequency trigger hack caused 156 emergency sirens in Dallas, a city of 1.2 million people, to wail continuously for 81 minutes. Oh, golly, could you imagine? That's bad enough when they do the test on Saturdays, or Wednesdays or whatever it is. The incident serves as a clarion call to organizations everywhere that cyber warfare can be used against infrastructure, even to just make a statement. All right, so technically each siren went off for 90 seconds, 15 times. So there was a lot of confusion because the sirens just kept going off. We had 4,000 calls to the 911 system, which was completely overwhelmed. So they used the tornado sirens to knock out the 911 system. Imagine if the 9/11 attackers would have coupled something like this with their attack, to sow even more confusion into what was going on. All right. Cyber attacks by Russian-backed hackers took down a large portion of the Ukrainian power grid in 2015. We've known about that for a while. Thanks for coming back, guys. Appreciate it. Sorry I have to restart the feed every week, but when I switch microphone inputs, for some reason, Facebook Live freaks out and blows up. So I can't be live when I switch the microphone, or it doesn't work. And I can't have, and I tried leaving the microphones on and turning the volume down manually with the old analog dial. Doesn't work either. Dallas's outdoor warning system is radio controlled and triggered when it's, like most systems in the United States, is triggered when a storm is imminent from a signal sent by the National Weather Service. I didn't know that you could just send out a broadcast signal and set off the sirens. So basically, if you're a bad guy and you know the right frequency, you can trigger the sirens anytime you want. All right, people can get off a long, rattle off a long list of attacks against critical infrastructure. Companies, governments, agencies, consumers are all victims of cyber weapons. Let's see. A hotel lost the ability to generate new key cards. Remote access control of a Jeep Cherokee endangered drivers. CCTV cameras were disabled. And then they turned on the sirens. So that was. I want to hear about the. I'm skimming through the story, guys, because I want to read about the situation with the missiles in North Korea. I didn't know we did that. On March 17, 2017, North Korea fired 4 ballistic missiles and 3 landed close to Japan, a key U.S. ally. However, its next test in April failed. As reports surfaced, the U.S. may have sabotaged it with a cyber attack. Distinctions between cyber weapons and malware. Hacking tools are tools that someone would use in order to gain access to a system. Malware, on the other hand, will remove the human equation from the attack. Oftentimes, automation can be prepackaged. Okay, blah, blah, blah. So they don't know anything. They're just saying that it could have been something that we did. In 2006, I remember this from the show. In 2016, hackers commandeered Internet of Things devices and took down a significant portion of the internet on the East Coast. You guys remember that, when the whole internet went down on the East Coast because all the Chinese security cameras attacked it at the same time? Hey, Alan. All network devices are vulnerable, blah, blah, blah. Here comes the AI. So the artificial intelligence is going to be the next phase of this thing. So basically, what they're saying is artificial intelligence can be used to marshal an even smarter attack so that it can coordinate multiple hacks and multiple system breaches together into one attack vector that is a more complete thing. Just like if the 9/11 hijackers would have also overwhelmed the 911 system shortly beforehand by setting off all the tornado sirens. And does New York have tornado sirens? I don't know. Do they have tornadoes in New York? Yeah, they must have civil defense sirens because they weren't tornado sirens at first, guys. They were civil defense sirens for air raid, and then they used them for tornadoes too. But artificial intelligence can also be used to defend against this. So when people talk about AI and how AI is super, crazy scary, and the machines are going to take over, the attackers are going to use AI to beat the humans because the AI is smarter and faster than a human, and the humans on defense are going to have to use AI to defend themselves against the other AI. So you can see how this is artificial intelligence is the next escalation in warfare, and we can talk about how scary it is, and we can talk about Terminator and all this stuff, and it's all true. But what's also not going to stop, because do you really think Al Qaeda cares? Do you really think ISIS cares? But if we want to defend ourselves against them, we have to do it too. So it's pretty crazy. All right, so that was an interesting story. Like I said, it wasn't something that we could totally do on in a 2-minute segment on the radio, unfortunately. Let's see, Samsung Galaxy Watch. We touched on this last week a little bit. I have a Samsung Gear Watch here that I use. Oh, look, it turned on right when I did that. Pretty awesome. But they got a new Galaxy Watch with improved battery life, which would be nice. LTE, which my wife has one of the new iPhone or iWatches, and it's got the LTE connection on it, and it's super annoying because you ring and do certain things for certain people at certain times. It doesn't pass it through to the watch. It's supposed to, but it doesn't. And so then the watch rings when the phone doesn't. You're trying to put the baby to sleep. You have your phone silenced, but your watch rings like a telephone. I hope that Samsung does better with that, because it would be kind of nice. I've forgotten my phone. Honey, you're watching the show right now. I've been trying to get a hold of you. Where are you? Sorry, I went into the shop. I was only going in for a minute. I left my phone in the car. And when I got in the shop, there was a line of customers, and the phone was ringing off the hook, and Jacob was alone, so I helped him out. And I ended up staying for an hour, but my phone was in the car, so you couldn't get a hold of me. If your watch has LTE, your watch rings like a phone, and you can answer it like a phone, even if you're out of Bluetooth range of your phone. It's pretty cool stuff. So they just announced they have this new watch. They look pretty spiffy, almost too spiffy. This one is rose gold. I don't know if I'm going to be wearing a rose gold watch. It comes in black or gold. This is silver with a black band. This is the more formal model they had before. The new one looks like a Rolex. I mean, it's like fancy. It might be too fancy for me. I don't know. If I wanted to wear a Rolex, I'd go buy a Rolex knockoff from a Chinese. Oh wait, from a Mandarin speaker. All right. So anyway, so there's that one there. Oh, this is a funny story. I just didn't have time to blast it yet. Comcast customer portal vulnerabilities exposing sensitive data. So let me scroll down on comments here. Sorry, I hadn't realized there were more yet. All right. Hey, Mike, how are you doing? Good to see you on the program. Yes, and Kim's laughing. She knows it's true. All right, so Comcast customer portal vulnerabilities expose sensitive data. 2 serious security flaws in Comcast systems may have left home addresses and social security numbers up for grabs. That's awesome. Comcast has revealed 2 critical vulnerabilities, which it had the potential to expose confidential information of over 26.5 million customers. Oh, golly. Previously unknown bugs were discovered by a security researcher. The vulnerabilities were found within a customer software provided by Comcast Xfinity, the subsidiary of Comcast, which provides cable, internet, and telecommunications service. Specifically, Stevenson uncovered 2 critical security flaws in the Xfinity customer portal that allowed cyber attackers with low levels of skill. So these, we call them script kiddies. These are people who aren't smart enough to make their own viruses, but they're smart enough to tweak somebody else's to make it do something. So the script kiddies with low levels of skill could access information belonging to customers, including partial home addresses and social security numbers. All right. Now, you might think, okay, so they have a whole bag of social security numbers. If they don't have any other information, why is that so bad? They have partial home addresses. They don't even have the whole home address, right? So I go on the dark web and I buy the bag of social security numbers attached to partial home addresses. Then I go back and I buy the Experian data breach data on the dark web, which is still for sale. and I put the two together, and all of a sudden I have a more complete picture. Then I can use that more complete picture, and as a new source of data from maybe the Target breach comes out, I can grab that and add that, and all of a sudden I can put a really crazy accurate database about the American people together and their spending habits and where they go, things like that, and what they watch. You know, you could use this information to then reset passwords and do all kinds of crazy things. So basically, customers were asked to verify their identity through a partial home address. If the attacker spoofed the IP of the customer and repeatedly refreshed the page, eventually they would be able to work out a partial address. As every time the refresh took place, the one correct address would always be present. So in other words, have you ever seen this when like you're trying to do your credit report and it has like 3 addresses and it says which of these is your home address? If I refresh the page 4 or 5 times, now all of a sudden your address was on that every time, but it put 2 random ones with you. Well, now I know your partial home address. So this would be you could automate this and you could do it. It's not like they had the database, you know what I mean? They didn't access the database and suck the data down. They would have to create a scraping tool designed to sit here and pound the heck out of the Comcast servers to extract the data of 26.5 million people. Let's just be conservative and say minimum number of page refreshes to get each one, which you would have to do more. Let's say it's 3. So that's 100 million pages loaded. They're going to notice that. They're going to notice that activity. So basically, Comcast has not received any reports suggesting the bugs have been used to compromise user data. So in other words, there's a vulnerability there under the right circumstances, and they need to fix it, but it doesn't look like anyone's been hit by it yet. In a completely unrelated story, shock, people still feel intense dislike for their cable companies. Lovely Kimberly, I'm saying we had this conversation last night. I don't know, why is it so hard to cut the cord? I don't know. I want to cut the cord. I do, because I don't watch that much stuff. I really don't on cable. I'm always worried you're going to miss that one show you watch. Like we watch Mountain Men. Will we be able to watch Mountain Men? You know, History Channel now has their own online thing. You pay $6 a month or whatever, and you get History Channel. That's a lot cheaper than buying cable from the internet company. So I've come to terms with my cable company, the story goes here. I know our relationship is never going to be good. Once in a while, I'll call it on its mischief. In a few months, though, I know I'll be back. It'll be back to its old tricks because cable companies can't help themselves. They're like airlines, bathing in nickel and diming pathology. I seem to not be alone. The latest Consumer Reports survey of how people feel about their cable providers paints a predictably grim picture. People have an intense dislike for cable companies even when the prices don't go up. For example, 45% of those whose services are bundled across TV, internet, and phone admitted they still enjoyed the promotional price they signed up for, which didn't seem to prevent any cable company or any of the companies but one of them from enjoying the lowest possible rating for value. There's a cable company named Armstrong that actually has good customer service. That sounds like some guy started a cable company. I'm going to call it Armstrong Cable Company. Mr. Armstrong. Awesome. Good for that guy. All right. You can't just please people, can you? Perhaps it's harder when you're charging them between $185 and $200 a month and they're not entirely sure what they're paying for, especially when it comes to fees. I find one of my cable company is that having gone paperless, I don't notice when they increase my bill. Yes, Cox, we notice. And they did, again. They don't send you a highly paperless email, do they? They count on you not noticing, and when you don't notice, you're too lazy to argue over the phone for another $5 or $10 a month. All right, 38% of pay TV subscribers say they were very or completely happy with their service. Consumer Reports paints a terrible result. I'm astonished it's so high. So 38% of pay TV subscribers say they're happy, but as cords are being cut across America, moving to almost 40% of people might be happy with the price of their channels, HBO, surely, and their HDTV. Everybody watches HDTV, and few admit it. I don't know who Chip and Joanna are, although it seems that there's one possible light that shines: Google Fiber. So basically, Google Fiber is a good cable provider, but everybody else is cutting their cords, and 60% of people don't like their cable companies. One sentence from Consumer Reports article reads, the customer satisfaction with subscription television service falls 3.1% to an 11-year low. So in the last year, it dropped another 3%. Comcast and Charter, for example, scored lower for customer satisfaction than airlines or even the IRS. Ouch. When people would rather send $200 a month to the IRS than to your company, that's pretty rough. Oh, wow. That's pretty rough. All right. Had Comcast back on the West Coast. They're pretty much the Satan of telecom companies, Thomas says. That's one way to describe it. Honestly, I have Cox at home. And, we don't watch enough. We pay a lot of money. But the problem is if you drop the Cox. So we have Cox phone, which we got it in a bundle, right? We don't have any handsets hooked up in the house at all because all we got are robocalls all day long, continuously, nonstop. So we just unhooked the phones from it. The only reason we have the telephone is to get the lower cable price. And the cable is like half of the cable bill. The TV portion is half. The other half is internet. But if we get rid of the TV portion, it causes the price of the internet to go up 20%. So you're really saving like $40 if you cut the cord. So then you ask yourself, how many shows a week do I watch? So if I'm saving $40 if I cut the cord, and I have to get a subscription to HBO Go to watch Game of Thrones, if I have to get a subscription to CBS All Access to watch the Trekkies, Patrick Stewart is going to produce it. Actually, it's pretty crazy, and he's going to be Captain Picard again. Crazy stuff. Anyway, so that's coming back. So I got to get a subscription to CBS All Access to get that. It's History Channel. Got to get the History Channel. And, I think my wife wants HGTV. I'm sure that she does. So there's 4 services at $6 a month. There's 24 of my $40 gone. So I'm talking about saving $25 a month and then subscribing to a whole slew of stuff. So I have all these places giving me services instead of one. And what if there's a show that I missed that I would have watched? The other day, for example, my 4-month-old son Lucas woke up at 5 a.m. and he was just awake. And so my wife's been getting up with him. I'm going to take him. We go downstairs, and I'm watching, what show was it? Oh, Tesla's Death Ray. They did a whole series on the Science Channel. So you have to subscribe to the Science Channel now about how declassified documents were just released by the federal government that shows that Tesla was murdered. He was killed. He was murdered. And he was murdered while he was working on his death ray. So they're looking into the murder of Tesla, trying to figure out what's going on there. And so at the same time, they get a group of engineers and scientists together to build the death ray he was working on, because they have his plans, except for the 4 pages that were torn from the notebook. Where are the 4 pages? Now it's like a treasure hunt. We're looking for the 4 pages. There's this whole series, and I happened to tune in for the last episode, which is the only way to watch those. And so I'm watching the last episode, and it's like, they're about to turn on the death ray. And I'm like, oh, wow. My wife gets up and comes downstairs. She goes, oh, you've been up with him long enough. You're okay. I'm like, no, honey, just 5 more minutes. Shh, okay, baby. I want to see him blow up the drone with the death ray. And it did. Blew it up. I would have totally missed that whole story if I wouldn't be paying my cable provider. And I wouldn't have seen the Science Channel. And I wouldn't have known I should subscribe to the Science Channel. So how do you're going to miss out, I guess, I don't know. Or the best part is when you miss out on a new show or a series, like Walking Dead. I did not get into The Walking Dead until like 5 seasons in. And then I was able to go back on like Netflix and watch. I didn't have to wait every week for the next episode. I could just watch 5 seasons. And it was amazing. I felt like I was picking up lost history that all my friends knew that I just always have cable. They all stream. They're all like, yeah, if it's not on Netflix or Prime, I don't watch it. NFL, the NFL pass. My son was into the NFL last year pretty big, so we got the NFL season pass thing. So you can watch all their games. He likes the Seahawks, and you can't see the Seahawks very often in Nebraska. So you get NFL All Access. It's $100 for the season, but you can watch all the games, and they shorten them down. They take out all the time, so you don't have to fast forward between the plays. So you can watch a game actually in like 45 minutes. Kind of cool. They renewed it for $100. Now my son, I was like, "Do you want this anymore?" They auto renewed me for $100, and he's like, "No, Dad, that's all right." I'm like, "Sweet." So I call him back and I'm like, "Okay, I didn't mean to auto renew that." And you go through the thing on their page, and it's like, "Why are you canceling?" And I was like, "Kneeling during the national anthem. Send." Yeah. So yeah, you can make canceling things fun too. So anyway, I don't know, guys. Would you cut the cord, or have you cut the cord? I don't know. I don't know that I can do that. Does the AfterSchrock replay on Facebook? It sure does. Yeah, when we're done with the AfterSchrock, it'll be archived on there as well. So you can listen to last week's. You can hear this one too. So if you have to run into the store, go to church or something, you're not sitting in the car like an addict, listening to my stories when you're missing the sermon. You can go in, Do the important stuff, guys, and then you can come back to me anytime. God's not on Facebook. I am, you know, so there you go. Fewer and fewer people apparently are on Facebook these days, from what I hear. Makes me think twice about boosting. All right, last story I've got, guys, is CCleaner. Okay, so if you're not familiar with CCleaner stands for crap cleaner, but they can't say crap cleaner in the media, so they call it CCleaner. CCleaner is an amazing little program. We recommend it wholeheartedly. I have it installed on my computers. It can clean your hard drive up. It can fix problems with your registry. If you're getting rid of an old external hard drive, you can use it to securely wipe an old hard drive. It's a really neat program, and it's completely free. There's a paid version, of course, but the free version does everything you need. So when people say, Thor, do I need a registry cleaner? No, you really don't. But if you wanted to have a registry cleaner, you can get CCleaner for free. You don't have to buy one of those spammy ones. So CCleaner, their big thing is protect your online privacy by cleaning up all the temporary internet files and things on your computer so that no one knows where you've been or what you've been doing. It's not been a good week for Piriform's PC cleaning tool CCleaner. With the release of CCleaner version 5.45, which is the current version that Secure Updater is installing, because that's what Secure Updater does, discovered the program's active monitoring component, which is utilized to send anonymous usage data back to Piriform, is no longer disabled. Users of version 5.45 discovered that unlike previous versions, there was no privacy setting that allowed you to disable sending anonymous usage information to Piriform. Even if you tried to disable active monitoring so the usage was not sent, it would enable it again on the next restart. You may go to options, monitoring, disable or enable monitoring, blah, 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 and it's not there anymore. To make matters worse, the new version of CCleaner would not terminate when you close the window, but would instead be minimized to the Windows tray, and the icon provided no way to close the program. The only way you could close it was to forcibly close it via the task manager. I found this morning, guys, because one of the things I do on this computer here that you're watching me on is I turn off everything that uses the internet, just so there's no competition. There's no bings or bongs coming up in the background. Have you ever heard that on the radio? You're like, oops. You know, that was on the computer that they're recording on. So I turn off everything so it doesn't do that. And I right-clicked on my CCleaner icon, and there's usually an option to exit. It was gone. And I thought, well, that's weird. Well, we're going to start the show. I'll look into it later. This is the article that I had on my desk here this morning. So basically what CCleaner has done, the program bills themselves as a privacy protection program, but they don't even give you the option to not send anonymous usage data back to Piriform. So there is nothing that CCleaner is doing on your computer that is going to compromise you, okay? Nothing. Nothing at all. They might send some specs back on your computer, like what kind of RAM and stuff you have and things like that. There is no data that's being compromised from CCleaner. You're safe. CCleaner is safe. But people were so outraged about it, and given what's happened to Facebook about privacy lately, CCleaner decided they're going to roll back to their previous version of, this is 5.45, yeah, 5.45. They rolled back to 5.44, and that's now the current version. Funny side note, it never occurred to us when we built Secure Updater that we might need to downgrade people intentionally. So now you've got 5.45, great. Oh, we pulled 5.45. Well, you still have 5.45, and you'll have that till they release 5.46. So if you saw this, if you're super freaked out about it, you can uninstall CCleaner from your computer and then reinstall it when 5.46 comes out. My guess is 5.46 is going to be out really quick. So I'm not going to do anything about this, but it's not a risk. I just didn't want you to hear about it and then wonder why I hadn't said anything, like I was trying to brush it under the rug there or something. All right, last call for questions, guys. If you got something for me, now is the time to ask it. I'll answer any questions you've got, and then I got to get some donuts and get home to the family because I've got hungry little ones that want their donuts. All right, so I don't know, how much is the Galaxy Watch? I didn't cover that. I wanted to, I've had this Galaxy Gear is like pushing 3 years old. They have not had a new watch in quite a while. The new watch is going to cost between $329 and $349. So the small model is $329. This is the bigger model, which is going to have better battery, better everything. For a guy, you get the bigger model. For a girl, you probably want the smaller model. $350. The watch will be available starting August 24th on Amazon, Best Buy, and directly from Samsung. So yeah, August 24th, this month, I'm getting a new watch. Woohoo, baby! New watch time. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us on the program today. I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us here on Sunday. It means a lot to me. Also, if you have the opportunity to do so, please share the program with your Facebook friends. All you have to do is click the share button and just say share it immediately. You don't have to write a message or anything if you don't want to. It helps us spread the word about the show. Especially with the declining Facebook usage out there among especially younger people. They're not alone. I saw an article that really didn't matter to anybody listening to the program today, but Snapchat was down 3 million users in the last quarter too. 3 million users have ditched Snapchat. Oh my gosh! Remember when they did their IPO, they were like a unicorn of money, like it was the money unicorn. That everyone was going to get rich on Snap, and then it just kind of like what's happening to Tesla right now. You guys heard about this, right? Okay. Before I leave, I got to tell you this one, but then I got to go. So Tesla is kind of rough right now. They're behind on deliveries. They're running out of money. Their technology for the Gigafactory that was going to make everything automatically. What do they call that? The Dreadnought factory that was going to be completely automated. It didn't work. They bought all this equipment from a German manufacturer for automation. None of it worked. It wouldn't do what they thought it was going to do. So now they're building cars by hand in tents. No joke, they're building cars in tents. They could not get to 5,000 cars a week, which is where they needed to be for their investors, in their facility because there wasn't enough room to do it. So they literally erected a semi-permanent tent. I mean, we've all seen MASH, right? That's what this is. Okay, so it's a semi-permanent tent, and so they're building cars in a tent, which is awesome. And people are getting injured, which is not awesome because they're not being ergonomically correct. And the 5,000 cars, we don't care what the cost is, get it done, the human cost. So they're doing it. So they've been just getting beat to heck in the media. And a lot of people, as a result, started shorting Tesla stock. Now, Elon Musk is the owner of Tesla, and he is notoriously hateful of short stock, people who short his stock. In fact, he sends out tweets like, "Ooh, huge short burn coming." For those of you who don't trade stocks, when you short a stock, you're betting that stock is going to go down in price. And if enough people bet that a stock is going to go down in price, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy because the people are making the bets because they see something that they believe is going to cause the stock to go down. So they're betting their money that the stock is going to go down. This is a derivative. Other people might bet, they might long the stock saying they think it's going to go up. So what ends up happening is all these people were shorting Tesla and it was causing the stock price to go down. And the stock price goes down, that lowers Tesla's market cap, makes it harder for them to raise the money that they need to keep going. So, because they're burning cash like literally like they're heating their home with it. They're burning cash, millions of dollars a day. It's bad. You could wad up $100 bills into logs and burn them and not burn as much cash as Tesla does every day. So Elon Musk sends a present to one of these guys who's notoriously shorting his stock. His stock price goes up, blows out the guy's shorts positions, so he sends him a box of underwear, a box of shorts. It's like, here's some shorts for you. I thought you might be a little short this week because you lost all your money. Sorry about that. So he hates people who do this. So he comes out the other day, and he just sends out a tweet that says, "Funding secured, period." He owns SpaceX. He owns Tesla. He used to own Solar City before Tesla bought it. He owns a lot of businesses. He owns the Boring Company. They drill tunnels. It's really, really boring work. A little engineer humor there. So he does all this stuff, and all of a sudden, the stock price starts going up because everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, Tesla funding secured. What do you mean?" Then all of a sudden, there's rumors about how Elon is going to take Tesla private. He's going to buy up all the stock and make it a privately held company like SpaceX because he's tired of having to meet these arbitrary deadlines for shareholders, like making 5,000 cars a month. He had to waste all this money building tents and other stupid stuff that they're never going to use again so he could make an arbitrary deadline so the stock price wouldn't go down. Well, some people call that accountability. When you say you're going to make 5,000 cars a month, you got to make 5,000 cars a month. You set that deadline, not them. If you have to do stupid stuff that costs you money to make it, that's just the way life is. So he sends out this tweet, the stock price goes through the roof because everyone's like, "Well, I own shares of Tesla. I'm not selling mine now because Elon's going to buy it back. And if the price goes up, he's going to give me a lot of money." And there's a lot of shares of Tesla out there. So the price goes up like 30, 40, 50 bucks. Blows up everybody who's shorting the stock. Because if the price goes too far above where you say it, you think it's all, and you have to pay. You pay money if you lose. So all these guys lost and had to pay millions of dollars of money in. Now they're all suing Tesla. And so now it's coming out that Elon really doesn't have funding secured, that this whole thing was probably just a ploy to raise the stock price. So the SEC is investigating it for fraud now. It's getting serious. Now all this is having a super negative impact on stocks. So everybody who is long is getting killed now because the stock price is dropping down so far. So as a result, you might imagine there's going to be more lawsuits. So Elon's, let's just say that you can do a lot on Twitter, as we have seen. You can do a lot on Twitter. You can also get yourself in a lot of trouble if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time and you're not supposed to. All right, guys, thanks for joining me for the program today. That's all I've got for you. I appreciate it. Poor Elon. Yeah, that guy, I don't know. He is either Rockefeller or he's Barnum. I don't know which. Hey, I think there's a little bit of Barnum in there for sure. All right, guys, have a great afternoon. Have a good week. Maintenance checkups on sale this week. We say this week only, but it'll air next week, so it's actually going to be about 2 weeks. Grab your certificates, grab your safe upgrades while you're there. Get that out of the way. As I didn't go into it too much, but we do a limited thing on the safe upgrades. There's only 1,000 of those that are going to be sold. So if we sell out before October, we sell out. Right now, we have like 1,000 available, though, so there's no rush. All right, guys, have a great weekend. We'll see you later.